Rick, we spoke about fragmentation and how store-board media can help. But let's talk about fragmentation in the media in general, like television. What are your opinions?
Well, to me, we support television, of course, and we're a great complement to television, especially as it relates to what I see going on today in fragmentation. I think what is happening in the real world with DVRs is a little different than what some of the numbers may show. Right now, you're talking basically 50% penetration on DVRs, and we did a number of studies when I was at MediaWorks on what the impact was. And I contended at that time that for every point of penetration of a DVR, the marketplace in effect lost half of that in GRPs of commercial value. And we can all talk programming and program delivery, and television is at an all-time high in viewing. But I would ask the question, do we really know how much of it is commercial viewing versus program viewing? And how much of today's viewership, especially by millennials, is non-commercial? Look at binge viewing, look at Netflix, look at HBO, look at all of these trends. And most people that get a DVR feel it's the consumer right to avoid commercials. And so they will figure out how to skip through things as fast as possible. They're going to watch more programming, but it is getting tougher and tougher to get a commercial message in front of the consumer that you're trying to reach. And as we all know, the higher income, more targeted cells are probably the first to gravitate to the commercial avoidance concept, and therefore they are even tougher to reach. So we have to come up with new ways to reach them. Hence, we have store-board media as a way. Again, I call that a day in the consumer life. People will still go to drugstores. They still will go to grocery stores. They will still buy product, and they will see messages in that course of action which they cannot miss.
So we were talking a little bit about off-camera, C3, C7. Let's continue the discussion.
Well, I'm a little surprised that there's such a trend towards C7, as to me that is really missing the big issue, which is viewers are delaying viewing, and I would argue that most of those delayed viewers are skipping commercials. So how you can really count a commercial message beyond a few days is tough. I think the best way to count them is what a lot of networks are doing with VOD now, where they might have a shorter commercial load, but that's probably of actually greater value to most advertisers because you can't fast forward it, and they know it's short, so there's going to pay attention, and it probably really is got a lot more impact there. I think the more you add days to the overall thing, it's not reality in terms of is the commercial effectiveness still there? I would argue not. I'm a little surprised that there's so much of an embracement of that.
Well, couldn't one also say that we have created our own problem by adding to the clock, by adding to the length of the pod? The industry itself, you're falling behind on GRPs, so you add some more spots into the clock.
Without question, yes, without question. And I think that what by adding commercials, which are done, let's face it, to make numbers, to make budgets. You lose 5% of your distribution or audience, and you add 5% commercial time, you're at a break even basically. And if you get a 5% CPM increase, you're 5% ahead, and that's what the financial people want. And I don't blame them for that. But the reality is, when you compare the higher commercial formats that exist today to those properties that are commercial free, it really makes them pop even more, and it makes the consumer say, what am I watching this with all these commercials for when I would rather do this other option? Do it Netflix, do it whatever model is out there that is now coming to the forefront.
So we could be encouraging binge viewing.
Oh, we could be, without question, yes, because let's face it, consumers don't have more time. They have less time with all of the things going on in their life. So they're going to try to cram as much entertainment as they can into that window of entertainment that they have. And I think that's why you see the binge viewing. I think that's why you see so much DVR recording and playback as fast as possible.
So what do you think the solution might be for networks?
Well, I think you see some that are creating their own streaming models, and I think down the road you're going to have a model where you might have a program funded by consumer payments as opposed to advertising, but hopefully there will always be a combination of the two because the advertiser needs to get that message to the consumer in some way, and television is still the most effective advertising vehicle out there. Sight, sound, motion, and emotion. I have been and spent enough time in it to understand that. But we're losing that commercial viability of it, which scares me, frankly.